أصدقائي الطلاب. Welcome to Chemistry Online with Mr. Ahmed Sulaiman. Why we study chemistry? Why it's important in our life? Chemistry is useful for three main things: explaining natural world, preparing people for their careers, and producing informed citizens. What's meant by each of them? You will see now. First, explaining the natural world. How come? Look, if you have an apple like this, after cutting it, you see it turns brown when it exposed to air. Why? Chemistry can reply this question or explain as well. If you have an egg and you boil it, the texture changes from runny or liquid into firm form. Why? Chemistry can answer this question. Also, chemistry can answer if the water expand or shrink by boiling, by freezing. Why sugar dissolve in water faster than cold in hot water, faster than cold water? Why yeast used for making bread, and so on. All of these questions and more can be replied by chemistry. For this reason, this is the first importance. The second, preparing for career, preparing people for career. Sometimes some persons have career related to chemistry like this. Turf managers have important task for keeping grass on golf course or soccer fields or like this, يعني football fields as well, and so on, healthy. How it's related to their field? They are studying chemistry and they know how can we make them healthy. Also, firefighter use chemicals to put off the fires. They cannot use water, for example, every time. If you have fire of sodium, you can't use water, for example. So he needs to study chemistry to know how can we deal with these fires, different fires, okay, to fight these different fires, and so on. Many careers like this need chemistry. Third, being an informed citizen. It means you need to be a citizen and you want to get benefit from many things like researches for making something you are using like plastic, like many things, or researches related to space, it's related to our earth, like NASA researches when they use these researches to improve and develop many things on earth. And so how can we use plastic to resist scratch, or using monitors or for making mobiles, screen, televisions, and so on. So you need chemistry for many of these things. Why they called chemistry by this name? Chemistry name came from the word alchemy. Alchemy is the field that the alchemists are working in. So we have people called alchemists. Now, who are alchemists? Alchemists are people who concerned to change something to something else, like change metals to other metals, like lead, which is very cheap, to gold, which is very expensive, and so on. Alchemists can develop the tools, like this tool, for example, tools or equipments like this, to develop them for special technique, for special use. The alchemists are developing this. Also, they design many tools like beakers, flasks, many tools in chemistry to facilitate the use of chemicals in our lab and discover many things. So they are the people called alchemists. For this reason, they called this field chemistry. It was like this up to a scientist called Lavoisier came. Lavoisier made like revolution in this field. Why? Because he changed the chemistry field from just observation of things into measuring, from observation to measuring things. How? What did he do? Lavoisier designed a balance to measure the mass. Also, he stopped debating about how materials are burning. Before Lavoisier, they couldn't know how the materials burn, but he explained any material need oxygen to burn, as you know, and also he did many things. How can we think about chemistry or even science? By using something called scientific law. What is meant by scientific law? It's like a statement, but concise statement, accurate statement, to summarize something you observe and you test it. If you did an experiment and you observed something, then you tested it and you found something, you can summarize it as a result in the form of something called scientific law. This is the law. Now I want to explain very quickly how can the scientists think. First, they are making an observation about something, or they observe something, a problem, or observe something, and he tried to find out the answer for this problem. This problem in front of you can be solved by, and you have to make some hypotheses, like answers to this question or this problem, like opinions, point of view, okay, but many of them put some hypothesis about this observation or this problem. Maybe one of them is correct, the others are wrong, maybe, we don't know. So we have to make an experiment to make sure it's correct or not, this first hypothesis. It's wrong? No. It's correct? Okay. But if it's wrong, you can repeat it again to make another experiment for another hypothesis and make sure it's correct or not. Then try the third one and so on. For each hypothesis, you make experiments, not experiment, but experiments many times. You have to repeat them to make sure which of them is correct. After making experiment, you can back to the hypothesis again, as I said, okay, and try another experiment. After experiments, you can find a theory or scientific law. How? If after experiment you found the answer of this question, but you are not sure, or it needs to be modified, but you don't know how can we modify it, you can make like theory. Theory is like the result of the experiment, but I'm not sure about everything in this statement. So we called it theory. It's like point of view, but based on the experiment. Okay? It needs to be modified. Sometimes after experiment, you found it's okay, it's a law. Okay? So you can make from experiment some theories and back again to the experiment to make sure it's true or not, or modify it, then make this theory, okay, then go to experiment again and so on. Or sometimes from the experiment you can move directly to the scientific law. Scientific law means you got the result without any modification. You got the result from experiment and you are sure from this result. At this moment we called it law. It's a law. So you got the scientific law. Sometimes like this, sometimes like this. The scientists are using this method to find out the theories and the laws. This is like introduction, very fast introduction about chapter 1. I hope to understand everything. Thank you, Shabab.